welcome to ET Campus Stars, an endeavor to identify India's brightest engineering students. This is the fifth edition, and we are very happy to have Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, School of Engineering, as our presenting partner. Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham is a multi-campus, multidisciplinary academia that is accredited A++, which is the highest grading band given by National Assessment and Accreditation Council to institutes of higher education in India, and involves criteria like curriculum, research, infrastructure, etc. It offers engineering programs in 4 campuses across 3 states of Kerala, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu. And today I'm pleased to join with Professor Sasangan Ramanathan, Dean Engineering, and a professor in the Department of Chemical Engineering and Material Science. He has over 2 decades of international research, management, and leadership experience. Dr. Ramanathan holds a PhD in chemical engineering from Clarkson University in the US, and before his current role, he served as the Chief Technology Officer for a multi-million-dollar company in the US in developing cutting-edge technology for advanced semiconductor device fabrication. Dr. Ramanathan, thank you so very much for your time today.
Thank you.
All right, so what are the challenges that you face when it comes to ensuring that engineering students who enroll with you get the education that prepares them for the problems and challenges of our world?
If you break down this question, it actually involves two components. One is you're looking at the curriculum that's being designed. Is it relevant? Is it industry relevant? And the second component is, what is a pedagogy? Everything that is printed doesn't get transferred to the student. So pedagogy plays a very important role in this whole challenge of students being industry ready. Now, in order to do this, the first and foremost important thing is having good quality faculty. Any reputed institution in India or abroad, you would know, it's built by the people that are part of that institute. So Amrita has overcome some of these challenges and majority of these challenges with the kind of faculty we have. And also we have updated our curriculum in a way that it is actually relevant and up to date and satisfies the requirements of the industry. Now, the second component, if you look at pedagogy, we have actually made a whole bunch of changes to the way we impart this knowledge. We have predominantly project-based learning, experiential learning, and the whole learning process is learner-centric. It is no longer teaching-centric. And the one important reform that I would say that we have brought up is also the evaluation reform. It is no longer just memorize something and write something and then get some CGPA. It is more of us as students learning, and that's what we have actually trained our faculty to do. We also interact quite a bit with industry, and we have a whole bunch of industry folks coming here talking to our students. So they are also in tune with what is needed outside when they graduate, right? So effectively, having all of this curriculum is nice, but implementation becomes a key factor in differentiating which institute is successful, which is not, and it's an entirely intricate process. Now, what we have done in addition to all of this is also inculcated interdisciplinary aspect.
Right.
I mean, if you think today, computer science is not just computer science sitting somewhere. Computer science is the core of everything. Everything revolves around computer science, no matter which discipline, engineering discipline you're talking about. And if you take it one step further, cybersecurity covers everything. And today, without cybersecurity, all of us will be actually sitting ducks for all of the cyber attacks. So that's the way we have visualized and conceptualized our entire curriculum, teaching, learning process. That's actually made us tackle these challenges that you're talking about.
Right. And how does that play out on the ground? Because time and again, questions are raised about the employability of our engineers, apart from those who possibly come out of the top IITs, a few NITs, and a handful of private universities. They're able to find jobs that they like and there are, just a few recruiters who find them valuable. Is there a disconnect, would you say, overall, between curriculum and the skills industry expects? You spoke briefly about how you try to travel or bridge that gap. Do you see otherwise, from your vantage, a disconnect?
Actually, if you look at what I said earlier, um, you said IITs, NITs, and very good private deemed to be universities and good central universities are able to produce a talent who can contribute to society and industry. Now, I'll just flip that and ask you a simple question. I mean, that's what I would ask myself if I were to design a curriculum. I just take an IIT curriculum or an NIT curriculum and just hand it over to my faculty or any faculty for that matter. I think you'll see a drastic difference between the graduates coming out of a college with fantastic quality faculty, what I call world-class faculty, versus the same curriculum given to somebody who doesn't know how to actually impart that knowledge through the means and techniques that I said earlier. So the employability factor comes in when there is lack of quality teachers. And I think if I were to tell you, many universities in India should invest a lot more time in training their faculty, exposing their faculty to what the industry requirements are. They should actually spend, and I have said this in Amrita, that our faculty should spend their sabbatical in industry, right? And that's where they really meet. The rubber hits the road when you sit in an industry and see what is being done. Industries are always about 5 to 6 years way ahead of any academician can do. They're on a fast track lane, and we're on a slower track on the academics. Now, these two have to join together, and faculty should get trained, and that will truly bridge the gap, this employability that we talk about versus what is being done in the universities. Now, at the end of the day, it is the inquisitiveness, the willingness to learn every day, the willingness to learn new things every day. That's what we impart in our students. And that's what the industry is looking for. Don't give me just cookie cutter process and I'll just go do what I'm supposed to do and get out, but think. Engineers think. And that is a kind of structured process we have put in place, and most of the universities should start thinking that way. Then you start filling this gap.
Nathan, how tough is it for you to get the faculty that the kind of faculty that is required?
Fantastic question. In fact, Amrita has been able to get a lot of faculty who have experience abroad, whether they have been in industry or academia. We actually have surpassed a lot of the IITs as well. So we are in a fortunate situation where we have had faculty who have come to Amrita, joined us because they love to join and work at Amrita. So, and most of that is because of our chancellor, Mata Amritanandamayi Devi. She travels worldwide, and there are so many people who get inspired about what she wants to do, and they come join us. So we have been very successful in getting those high quality, world-class people. And so we're able to move along much faster than probably the rest of the universities.
So I wanted to shift to some of the courses which are offered, across engineering streams. And those are mechanical, civil, instrumentation. Demand for jobs or the demand for core engineering courses in mechanical, civil, and instrumentation, is that falling? Because construction and the manufacturing sectors of our economy are said to be growth propellants, and there is demand for jobs.
I would put it in a couple of ways, answer that question in a couple of ways. Manufacturing, infrastructure are growth drivers now in India, at least with the Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India, all that is propelling this. I think there is an illusion in terms of it's a theory of relativity. The number of students and employment opportunities available in IT sector the software development, product development, software as services is a lot more compared to the number of jobs available for core engineering folks. Okay, so it is not that these are not drivers, or they are driving employment opportunities, but the perception that we have looking at the IT versus non-IT makes us think that this is not growing. But that will change in the next 5 to 10 years, because if I just were to ask anybody, how many products from India, consumer products today, compete globally that has a rubber stamp says made in India? You can use your fingers and count them. A majority of our products, consumer electronics, healthcare, yeah, it's all defense technology. All of that is licensed, or we are actually selling some of somebody else's products in India. Automotive, yes, we have gained significant strength. So I think in the next 5 to 10 years, when you see a lot of products coming out with made in India sticker, that will propel, and we will see a lot more growth in the core engineering disciplines as far as employability goes. And I'm quite confident. So what you see is a blip at the moment, but core engineering will never disappear. If I were to take the example of COVID-19, how many of us were looking out for flights to come with the products loaded from abroad? It is not because of lack of quantity, but we just didn't have the technology either. So healthcare products will become an important aspect of Made in India. Similarly, we will have a lot more products that will be designed, developed, and manufactured in India. That will propel the number of job opportunities in these core discipline areas.
Professor Ramanathan, blockchain, IoT, machine learning, AI, they're all spaces in which we will need talent. How does an institution like yours go about creating the expertise that will be required?
Well, we were probably the first institute to introduce MTech in cybersecurity. This was about 10, 12 years ago. We have a lot of specializations and variants of this computer science and engineering that gives our students the ability to specialize in this blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT. All of these are available. And we have introduced them at both the BTech level as well as the MTech level. Okay, so introduction of these programs have started, and it's been there for more than 10, 12 years. And now what the perception is from students and potential parents are all that, okay, AI, ML, these are the buzzwords. But AI is there everywhere. Whether we like it or we know it, AI is everywhere. So like I said in the beginning, the CSE, computer science and engineering, with this AI, cybersecurity and all that is kind of core. It is needed regardless of which discipline you enroll in. And today, if I were to tell you, mechanical engineering is not the same mechanical engineering that I enrolled in back in the 1980s. Mechanical engineering today has more of the programming, the embedded systems, and the controls. So these engineers are not tunnel vision. They have a broader scope. And that's what I meant by the curriculum being revised and the way we impart the knowledge to the students. That also has made a difference. So in a nutshell, to answer your question, AI ML is not isolated. It is omnipresent. It is there for all branches, but there are specific specializations that we offer at all levels, UG and PG, for students interested in those topics.
The universities with engineering and tech departments, which are ranked within the top 100 worldwide, they're mostly, say, developed countries. While emerging countries are often drawing high numbers of students to study engineering, the quality of their engineering department seems to lag, and maybe that is why they get listed a lot lower on the rankings. A lot of our top talent in all fields, not just engineering, prefers to go abroad. They do well. Would you say institutes in India are not getting it right and that there is a gap?
Well, you answered that question by yourself. let me tell you, you said we have a lot of talent that goes abroad and they are very successful at a personal level, and they're also contributing in a big way to the success of these companies and that nation they are in. So that answers the question that the Indian universities still produce top-notch students. Okay, so the talent part that India produces cannot be taken away, cannot be beat by anybody. Now, the next part, if we can produce this much talent, such high numbers, why are we not ranked? That's your second part of the question. You have to look at it in two ways. One, I think the ranking parameters today emphasize a lot more on research, the impact of research, the quality of research, and there is a lot more weightage on that. Now, if you look at the investment made by these developed countries in their top institutions, it is at least 10x more than the highest investment made in India in any institute. Money does matter because when you can invest that much amount, you can actually take the research into what we call cutting edge research, advanced research in impactful areas. So if I were, if I just go back when I was still a CTO in my previous world, China invested, the government invested a lot of money on select institutes in China. They were not ranked anywhere. If you go back 20 years, you wouldn't find a Chinese university being very popular. Then suddenly you see a cluster of Chinese universities coming up in the ranking. So it is about the government wanted to promote their educational institutions and also wanted their own indigenous research being carried out. They invested. So in India, yes, we have lots of students enrolled, but if we want to go up to that level, the investment in research has to increase. And that's not an individual or a few organizations' effort. It must be a concerted effort that the country has some of these leading universities. And we have our own plan at Amrita to crack the top 500 and eventually crack the top 300 in the world.
But India does invest. I mean, each IIT, for instance, is funded. 700-800 crore is poured into it. NITs are funded. But perhaps other engineering colleges at state levels, they do not get the kind of funding, perhaps. And you are saying that that could be one of the roadblocks to engineering education.
Yes.
Apart from funding, what else do we need? You've mentioned faculty. You've mentioned crossover, interdisciplinary coursework.
Correct. And impactful research. I think all of the institutes have, you can't say that all the Indian institutes have world-class faculty. It's true for other countries as well. They may have 1,000 universities, only the top 100 feature somewhere. So we must improve the quality of teaching of the faculty in any institute. And that takes time and it'll happen. But the amount that you mentioned, where the IITs and NITs get, they're still substantially lower than what a Stanford and a Harvard invest, or a Shanghai Institute invests. And it is directly proportional because the talent is there in all these universities in India, but with the limited amount, they can only do so much. And really, are we making impactful research? That's another important thing. The Indians that have left India seem to make impactful research. The same talent staying back in India doesn't seem to make that impactful research. And that is one of the things that our chancellor has been saying. Your research should have a meaningful impact. And then that's what Amrita is focusing. It's not about just the publications, it's about taking research to society that makes sense to everybody. And that's an impact.
Last question, sir. Why is it that a lot of engineers pursue an MBA? Isn't there enough to hold them to engineering?
I would say it's always a fancy thing that I'm an engineer plus MBA. There is a club with the IITs and IIMs, right? So I think somewhere, if I have a broader skill set, I'm not saying that it's fancy, Some of them truly aspire to be an engineer with the business mindset that helps them understand the business intricacies plus the technology impact to any business. Now, that can easily help them in contributing and growing in an existing company, or they would also be able to pitch and start their own company. It's an additional skill set, a learning platform. So I would not call it, it's a, I have to finish engineering and MBA. I think there is a norm that if I have that degree, I might have a better chance of a greater career. I grew up in a management ladder. I don't have MBA degree, but most of it was learned when you work. If they can keep their ears open and have a broader mindset, I'm sure they will learn a lot faster and a lot more.
Dr. Ramanathan, thank you so very much for your time today, and for your insight into what makes Amrita one of the better universities that engineering students can choose from all that India has to offer. I wish you and your institution all the very best.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.